Hello and welcome to stage 4 of the 30th edition of the Giro Rosa. 101 kilometers today from Lissone-Carate, Brianza. Danny Rowe is with me today, Olympic and world champion, and someone, teammate of Marianne Vos last year, has raced in the Giro Rosa. Danny, we saw our little epic montage there that we've put together for the first 3 days. Canyon SRAM taking the opening day, 2 wins for Marianne Vos, but yesterday, absolute heartbreak for Lucy Kennedy.
Yeah, it was, and a real kind of learning curve for her. She's not been in this position many times before, and she needs to sprint all the way to the line. She was suffering up in those last final 100 metres, but the speed that Marianne Vos came to the line with was just incredible. She's just showing that she's in incredible fine form like she was a few years ago, which for me is really good to see.
Now, you were a teammate of hers last year, and we talk about Marianne. She's a bit of a legend, but she is, you know, she's such a champion and she's such a phenomenal person on and off the bike, isn't she?
She is, and she's so respected, you know, throughout the peloton. She's always there to offer advice, and yeah, an absolutely incredible rider, the best woman rider to ever have lived, in my opinion. So yeah, I think we'll see so much more from Marianne Vos, not only in the Giro Rosa, but for the rest of the season.
Oh, definitely. So today's stage, they describe it in the road book as a bit wavy. We've moved from Piemonte over to Lombardy, and today's stage takes in a lot of the roads of the Giro di Lombardia. Stage 4, 100.1 kilometers from Lissone-Carate, Brianza. We have one intermediate sprint with 28.7 kilometers to go, one category 3 Queen of the Mountains with 13.6 to go before the run up towards Carate, Brianza. So looking at that stage profile, in the road book, they say could be one for the breakaways, could be one for the sprinters. We don't have a huge amount of big sprinters here, do we?
No, we don't. So it is a massive opportunity for them. The likes of Kirstenville will definitely be looking for that victory in the stage today. So I'm excited to see how it pans out. Again, one for potentially the breakaway as well. You never quite know in the Giro Rosa with the road book, but I'm excited to watch.
Okay, Kirstenville, a rider that we have been mentioning as a potential favourite for today's stage. Let's hear from her now, courtesy of WNT Rota.
I hope it is as flat as it looks like in the road book. You never know. In Italy they can surprise us very, very much. If it's a flat stage, I'm really looking forward. If it's not, I'm not looking forward.
So that's Kirstenville. Can she take a sprint victory today? So let's get right to it. Our breakaway group, so you can see there 18.7k to go, 4 minutes and 7 now that the neutral service cars having to negotiate that one as well. So we'll just double check here. They've just got to make sure that the breakaway group are back onto the route. It was an odd one there coming out of the roundabout. Qualiotto went through there, so we'll hope that the peloton gets through the same position and stay on course. So, yeah, the breakaway group just saw niftily onto the grass there by Qualiotto. There's confirmation of your group. Borghese and Perini, they've got to be on the group because the soigneurs are at the side with the water bottles.
Yeah, exactly. And as I was saying before, it's a real great opportunity for these riders because the peloton will let them go. Any riders who try and go, who are a potential threat to those GC leaders, will be, you know, chased back really quickly. So as you can see now, you've got the Canyon SRAM team really controlling well as a unit, with Nieuwe-Domme sitting back, you know, having a breather, making sure she's getting fueled up, ready for any action that could potentially happen closer to the race. But for her, I would imagine it's a day to stay safe alongside the other GC contenders. You can see Spratt on the right-hand side leading Van Vleuten up with Lucy Kennedy behind her. So it's all about staying safe for these riders today.
The WNT Rota team coming through towards the front. Tiff Cromwell on the front here for Canyon SRAM. Hannah Barnes is right on her wheel. So they've got this jersey to defend. 3 minutes and 36 seconds, as we said, was the deficit. 3:35 rather, the deficit going into today's stage for this rider from LA, Cipollini. So if it's finished there, so she is the virtual leader on the road at this stage. And Qualiotto, a rider that's former European Junior Road Race champion back in Tartu back in 2015. That's one of her victories coming into her career. She's still only 22. She took the Queen of the Mountains in the Tour Down Under as well. But Borghesi's just 20 and Perini's 21. There's a shot there of your race leader, Cassia Nuvodoma. So quite a few riders trying to move themselves up towards the front of this one. Hannah Barnes doing a great job on the front. 17.4 to go. This gap at the moment, this breakaway for one, is going all the way to the finish. When we look at this sort of time, the peloton behind, I know Hannah Barnes and Tiff Cromwell have got some serious power, but you know they'd have to be going like an express train now to try and pull this one back before the finish.
Yeah, I think usually the rule of thumb is about a minute per 10k to be able to bring brakes back in a flattish stage. So yeah, it's looking like this is going to be a day for the breakaway, which is amazing to see. I personally love it when a breakaway stays away. Canyon are obviously doing a great job to try and limit their losses in terms of that time gap in the finish. But yeah, they're going to have to start thinking about how they play out the finish, which is probably something that hasn't crossed their minds. As three very young riders, they haven't been in this kind of scenario before. I'm sure they'll all be happy with a podium spot. It's always heartbreaking when there's a break that's more than three riders and someone misses out. But what an amazing day for those young riders. I don't think they would have ever have dreamt of being on a podium in the Giro Rosa at such a young age.
I mean, when we look at the stages so far, I mean, Castellania copied the team time trial. Canyon SRAM took that. It's been an all-Dutch affair so far in this race with Marianne Vos. Three young Italian riders. For the Giro Rosa this year, it's got growing interest. You know, there's the coverage now all over the world, but within Italy it's really, really important, isn't it, for the Giro Rosa to get that Italian interest, and nothing gets Italian cycling interest like an Italian victory, especially an emerging young rider.
Yeah, exactly. So this will be a really exciting day for the whole country for one of these girls to win. Obviously Elisa Longo Borghini is amongst the favourites for the GC contenders, and unfortunately Elena Cecchini is another favourite for the Italians, but she unfortunately crashed out of the women's tour, so isn't here at this race, which I know she was really, really upset about. But yeah, what a great day for Italy.
So we're seeing some different jerseys on the front. So Eurotarget Bianchi Vittoria is the team that are on the front. So that team there in the light green colours there, and the black shoulders on their jersey. In terms of their riders, so they've got Clamilda Fernandez from Brazil, got Alice Gasparini, Elena Franchi, Lisa Morzenti. They've got the Romanian national champion Anna Kovrik. Also, they've got Ariana Fidanza in the midst as well. She was a world junior points champion. She's only 24, Ariana Fidanza, but potentially they would fancy her for a sprint.
Yeah, for sure. So she's going to have to kind of sit back and hope that this gap does go down, but it doesn't look like it is. Still at 3:49 with 16 kilometres to go, and Canyon are back on the front doing most of the work, and that's the, I guess, unfortunate side of having the leader's jersey so early in the race. You do have then the pressure on the shoulders of the team to take up the lead in this kind of scenario where there is a breakaway. I'm actually quite surprised they don't have more of WNT helping the rider on the front now for Kirsten Wild. This is one of her only opportunities today, being a sprint stage. So I would have thought there'd have been more cooperation from the team of WNT Rota.
Yeah, the Catherine Hammes is the rider that's on the front for WNT Rota. So make sure you stay tuned this week. From tomorrow, we've got a competition from courtesy of WNT Rota, and Hannah Walker has been helping us a lot with that, so make sure you tune in tomorrow for information on that. 15.3 kilometers to go, our breakaway group, 3 minutes and 49 seconds. Our two riders that are in here in particular, And we were looking back, so Borghese and Perini, and this is no disrespect to either of these riders. We looked back. I mean, there's lots of very interesting databases that we try and take sometimes when we're looking for information on riders. But for these two riders, I couldn't find a victory for either of these two young riders. So in this, are you then playing out in your mind, trying to think back to all the coaching information, the races that you've watched, and you're hoping that racing instinct just takes over?
Yeah, for sure. And it's going to be such an incredible day for potentially one of these riders, and they are going to have to start thinking about how the finish is going to pan out, whether they know each other, being Italian, who's the fastest, whose wheel to be on, have they done any research about the finish and where they're going to launch their sprint. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens. But for now, I think it's too far to kind of start playing cat and mouse. They need to still cooperate. That gap can go down if the peloton behind, really starts putting the hammer down and other teams start helping Canyon SRAM. So it's looking like they are, really working well together. Like I said before, I think they'll be happy with a podium. But yeah, I do think they will be kind of racking their brains in terms of how they go about, giving it their best shot for the finish.
Potentially they were all juniors together, because they're 20, 21 and 22. So it's, again, they might have raced each other in junior nationals in years gone by. Chiara Perini in particular is a Lombardy rider. So she's from this region. We've gone from Piemonte yesterday over to Lombardy now. So a lot of the roads that this stage is on are included in the Giro di Lombardia at the end of the season. As you can see, back to the front of the peloton, it's still Canyon SRAM on the front. Catherine Hammers from WNT now has dropped off the front of the group. Lotto Soudal that we're seeing coming through towards the front of the group as well. Hannah Barnes swings off. Hannah Barnes, former stage winner in this race as well, former British national champion Hannah Barnes. She looks like, going from the Over Energy Women's Tour, she looks like she's really relishing the job of working for someone like Cassia Niewiadoma, because she's a super talent in her own right.
Yeah, she is, but I think she is one of the world's best domestiques, and unfortunately without the coverage you don't get to see a lot of Hannah Barnes, so she doesn't get enough credit, I don't think, as what she deserves, because she is an absolute phenomenal rider, and you can see here, she's an integral part of that team. She's picked for the biggest races, and again, an out-and-out rider in her own right, a fantastic bike rider. She's very good at positioning. She's always in the right places on the bike, in the peloton. She's grown up on a bike. I remember racing Hannah, when we were a lot younger, and when I first started racing, she'd already been racing for a few years. So we've had our battles out there on the road, but it's really great to see her, become a really strong, integral member of this team.
Just to bring you up to speed as well with the early intermediate sprint that we had with 28.7 to go. Borghese took that ahead of Perini, with Qualiotto in third place on that one. We're on a little climb here. This should be the Queen of the Mountains point, I think, on along the route. So Qualiotto still keeping on. It should be just seeing the sign on the sign there, Bassana in Brianza. Again, back to the front of the bunch. Sophie de Voice there in that green jersey. And Elisa Longo-Borghini still in blue. There's Ruth Winder in that Stars and Stripes jersey as American national champion. Looking at CCC Live, they've got Ashley Moorman up towards the front now. We've got the Queen of the Mountains now. And it looks like Leticia Borghese is going to ride through the summit, so she takes maximum points. Qualiotto and then Perini just behind. Perini just looking for the hose pipe at the side there, just to cool herself down a little bit. But interesting as well, rolling through the Queen of the Mountains point there, no sprint, just keeping that sort of fluid movement of the breakaway. Yeah,
and I think that was the best thing to do for this group of three. They don't want to disrupt what they're doing. They're working well together. The gap is very slowly coming down, but again, it doesn't look like they're going to be caught. So to then try and sprint for a mountaintop finish could really kind of disrupt the flow and rhythm. But you can see she is just getting a gel. She's trying to keep hydrated, keep fueled, ready for the finish. Could be a last chance for a caffeine gel to give you that extra kind of boost into the finish now. And it's really important. You can see Taylor Wiles taking a drink. You're not only fueling for today, but in a race that's so long, you're also fueling for the days to come. You know, it's hot out there, and hydration is really key. You can see there Annemiek van Vleuten as well having a drink, and it's where the pace kind of does settle down. It's so important to keep topped up on fluids and fueling.
So the pace up a little bit now at the front. WNT Rotor, I've just added another rider to the mix at the head of the race. Monique Teniglo, you can see there from Mitchelton Scott, good powerhouse on the front for that team. They really have to try and get this one under control just a little bit. So not too long now, and they will start to think about the finish. The confidence will be growing in our breakaway group. So some of the team cars up towards the front. And we're in the 20k to go, so maybe today with the temperatures they might have sometimes they'll add a little bit of extra distance, or you'll just take the potential fine that you might get from feeding later on.
Yeah, again, like I said, it's all about fueling for today and the days to come. So when it is particularly hot, they do let feeding go on till closer to the finish of the race. And you can see there is a bit more speed coming up now into the last couple of climbs of the day, really trying to kind of break the peloton up and see if that gap can be brought down any further.
So Sophie Devoist here, you can see she's just looking for some points. There is still 2 points and 1 point on offer at the top of this climb. So the Park Hotel Valkenburg rider now out of the saddle. So we've got 4th and 5th places on the category 3 climb. So this is good. She went into the stage level on points with Marianne Vos with 7 points. Definitely a competition that she is targeting, and she takes 2 points to go up to 9 points in total in that one. She was the rider on the stage that started and finished in view. She managed to get herself, it's not Nicole D'Agostine, don't worry, that's Sophie Devoist. The graphic wrong on that one. But she went over the Col de Lis and took maximum points on that Cat 2 climb on the view stage, so adding to that one. And again, back to our break, 10.8 to go, 3:27. For someone like Devoist, if you want to get that Queen of the Mountains title, it's important just picking up points all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's all about being consistent, and it's only 2 points, but that 2 points could make the difference come the end of the 10 days. So that was a relatively easy couple of points for her there. She just pipped off the front of the peloton. So yeah, I think that'll be a great kind of little buffer for her going into the next day. If this is her targeted jersey for the overall, maybe that was her goal for the race, to come away with that jersey. So
the Aroma Italia car just trying to come up alongside their rider, just to have a little bit of a word with Borghese. So 10.3 to go. You can see it's a really hot day for the riders, so the team cars constantly as well, just up and back to their riders, back to the peloton. Amanda Spratt is on the front here. So
just keeping Annemiek van Vleuten out of trouble. A lot of the teams will do their homework before the races. If there's any technical sections or sections where there could be potential breakaways or attacks, or even coming into a feed, it's really important to keep your GC riders safe. They're pointing out a parked car. It's all about staying safe for the riders on days like today. And some riders can come into it thinking it's a kind of a bit of a stress-free day, but actually these are just as important. You know, if you take your foot off the gas, get caught out. We saw a couple of years ago actually with some riders getting caught out with crosswinds, GC contenders. So the flat or flat earth stages are just as important, and that's why you see the teams keeping their GC riders safe at the front of the race at all times.
Looks like a little attack there from Leticia Borghese. So from just starting to jump around a little bit at the front. I think it's a little bit early here at the moment to start jumping around. Maybe she doesn't want to take her breakaway companions too close to the finish. Perini there, you can just see just giving her legs a bit of a shake. Yeah, sometimes when you're out there, you're in the breakaway, you're in the same sort of position all day. The legs you just want to try and weight your legs up a little bit.
Yeah, so you can see her shaking her legs out there. They could become, crampy or really stiff. So it's really important to try and do everything you can. You know, if that works for you, then great. You see it actually a lot in swimming rather than cycling, with the, you know, swimmers tapping their legs before they swim, getting them ready for the finish. Or maybe she's getting ready to launch an attack if she doesn't want to take it to the line for a sprint.
Monique Teniglo leading out here. Catherine Hamas just moving up again just to try and keep them in a position. Team Bigler for Cecily Uttrup-Ludwig, Lizzie Banks and Leah Thomas are both very much to the front. They're doing a phenomenal job for her so far in this race. For CCC Liv, we see Ashley Moorman-Passio there in that South African National Champions jersey. You can just see her behind that sort of purpley jersey of Annemiek van Vleuten. Do you think now, even after 2 stage wins, do you think Marianne Vos is still targeting that, and the plan will still be for Ashley Moorman?
I think never say never for Marianne Vos. You just never know, and she's clearly in absolutely incredible shape. But I'm going to still stick with my prediction for the GC rider for CCC Liv being Ashley Moorman-Passio. She's had some fantastic results in the Giro Rosa. I know this is the one that she is targeting this year. So I think it's great that they can play a couple of cards. It was a similar for last year when we were riding for Sabrina Stutens, who unfortunately is still struggling with concussion after a bad crash last year when racing. And it was great because we were going for stage victories for Marianne Vos and we could focus on the GC for Sabrina. So it's really nice when you're in such a strong team and you've got different cards to play, and it really boosts the morale of the team when you get stage victories like CCC Liv have in the last 2 stages, and also a great result for them in the team time trial. So I know morale will be high in the team. But I still think that Ashley Moorman-Passio will be the rider going for the overall GC.
So you haven't heard about tomorrow's stage. So tomorrow's stage was the Queen stage that we were supposed to finish on the Gavia. We're still waiting for the final details of tomorrow, but Ponte and Valtellina is the start point still. The route tomorrow is unchanged until they pass the point at Val di Sotto, and then they're going to climb up to the Lago di Canciano, which they last climbed in 2011 when the stage was won by Emma Pooley. So we're still waiting for the exact points of where the climb is going to go tomorrow, but that's the Queen stage. So it's still going to be a tough day tomorrow, not quite as tough as we had with the Gavia. Breakaway group 249, 7.2 kilometers to go. This now is going to be all about these 3 riders. For Canyon SRAM, they've brought it back under control. Qualiotto, the rider in the center there for LA Cipollini, 36th overall at 3:35. She's no longer the virtual leader. They're all having a look around at each other. I've said the Aroma Italia Viano, they've got the best team socks out of any team. I'm loving the rainbows. I've said to Mayalen over the last couple of days, got to get me some of those socks.
They are pretty cool, aren't they? Yeah, it's great to see such amazing kits and designs throughout the female peloton. They definitely improved in the last few years, but yeah, those socks are pretty out there. Really cool.
Good to see again. You see the sponsors here. Be Pink, a team that's been around now for many years, riding the De Rosa bikes. Still LA Cipollini, as you can imagine, on the Cipollini bikes. Good to see the Basso bikes as well, and the Aroma Italia team. So Qualiotto, as I said, she was away in a breakaway group in the last stage of the women's tour, last sort of round of the women's calendar before we came here to the Giro Rosa. Still working well together, and he's just starting to see Perini looking around, maybe missing a bit of a turn. You've been in this position many times in a breakaway like this. You know, what's at this point, what's going through your mind?
Well, for me, I could sprint, so I was always trying to think the best way to kind of, I guess, finish the race in a sprint finish scenario, making sure no riders caught me by surprise and went for those kind of longer breaks from the breakaway. So you had to just think about what the strength of the other riders you were in the breakaway were, and think about the finish itself. So I would have done homework again on the stage the last couple of kilometres, and I guess the last 200, 300 metres, and also weather conditions, whether it was a side wind, which side you wanted to sprint on, to give yourself the best chance. But for these 3 riders out there today, I think they're all going to be happy, but for sure they will be thinking about how they can win today, but tomorrow they are going to feel this in their legs. It's been a long day out for them, especially before such a savage day, which it is going to be even without the Gavia in tomorrow's stage.
We see all the riders with radios as well. Would you, again, when you're in the breakaway like this, especially for the likes of Borghese and Perini here, you know, they wouldn't have expected to be in this position. When you get into a break, you always dream that you're going to go all the way to the finish. We're now hitting 5k to go. Would you then be getting that information relayed back from your soigneur at the finish line as to where the wind is? Would you get that relayed up to you?
Yeah, you would be potentially, but you can never rely on this kind of information, so it is really important before every stage to do as much homework as you can. I always try to look at the GPXs, the routes, the weather conditions beforehand, but yeah, like you saw, team cars can come to the riders, give any information they can, or any advice they think would be their best chance. The director sportifs generally have been riders themselves, so they have a lot of experience in how, I guess, their riders would have the best chance of getting a result. So I think that's what will happen today.
Cassia Nuvedoma just having a drink there. It's Elise Chabi, the Swiss rider, that's right on her wheel. Again, through these very typical towns of the Lombardy region here. So just heading in towards Albiati. Cassia Nuvedoma just keeping herself well nourished here, having another gel as they come towards a finish. Leah Thomas now moving up for Team Biglas. CCC Live, those bright orange jerseys. Still Monique Teniglo on the front. I think Monique as well, you know, we've seen her over the years with FDJ Aquitaine. She's a rider again. This is her job, isn't it? She's perfect in this role.
Yeah, and what a nice style she's got on the bike. You can see she's really strong in her upper body. She's getting all the power through her legs and does such a great job for the team. You've got another rider coming up to help her now, but she's doing a fantastic job. You know, she's got most of the peloton in one line, and this is Sarah Roy, who's another incredible domestique, and she can sprint really, really well herself. So she's probably a bit gutted that she's not going to be able to sprint today, but that's why she is getting involved with the chase to reduce the time down as much as they can. They know they're not going to be sprinting for that victory today, but she's keeping Van Vleuten safe to set her up for the finish. Van Vleuten can sprint. You can see already in the Giro she's in top shape, so I think they will still be going for a really good result, stay out of trouble behind these three riders.
Is it something, again, as a pro, because of the way that the pro calendar... Oh, there you go. Borghese has a little attack. Now, again, that's the second little move by Leticia Borghese here to try and get clear. She's just been testing and pushing these two riders on the last couple of kilometres. Perini looks like the effort of Borghese has just stretched the gap there slightly back to the front of the peloton. Sarah Roy, Ashley Moorman-Passio, you can see moving up there in that white jersey as Roy just runs a little bit wide there. Spratt coming up. Remember, it's all about points as well in this one. You can see Nuvia Doma not got so many of the teammates around her now. She's just having to negotiate this one, keep herself well to the front. So what she doesn't want to do is on the run in towards the finish that the peloton splits, and all of a sudden you can start to lose some time. But now Ashley Moorman here for CCC Live, looking good in that South African national champions jersey. Van Vleuten, the style of Van Vleuten there. Just Marianne Vos just moving up. There's Lucinda Brand, who's looking good as well. And Tiff Cromwell comes back in front of Cassia Nuvedoma. Lorty Mackay just on the right there for Team Sunweb.
You can see Kirsten Wild as well coming to the forefront of this race now, so maybe she will be going for that fourth place to give herself a good result in this stage today. She hasn't got many teammates around her now, but it's all about staying out of trouble for these riders. That's why you're seeing the likes of Ashley Moorman-Passio, Cassia Nuvedoma, Van Vleuten towards the front. It's where the riders get nervous. There are potential crashes in the finals of races. They can be technical, so it's all about staying near the front.
And this is the opportunity for these two riders in particular from the two smaller teams to try and pick off the biggest victory of your career. For Borghese and Perini, this will be massive for their teams, and you can see that Quagliotto is getting just a little bit frustrated. Annalise Dom on the front there for Lotto Soudal.
You see she wanted them to keep working together. She's still worried that the peloton could catch the riders. She is the most experienced out of these three, so she can almost, you know, tell them what to do, tell them to keep riding, and hope it pays off for the finish.
Again, she just has a little glance again, and sometimes that frustration can kind of just boil over a little bit, can't it, as well?
Yeah, it can. In the heat of a race like this, when you're so close to a potential victory, yeah, you can start to, you know, the fires are burning and you're not thinking straight.
Leading out again, Lotto sued out on the front here. Ashley Moorman keeping herself out of trouble. 2 kilometers to go. 2:01. You could see the race official's car coming up. So this breakaway going all the way to the line. There's no danger of Cassia Niewiadoma losing that leader's jersey, rather. But the stage victory is going to one of these 3 riders in the break. The peloton, though, are in full flight here. And Alice Arzoufi there, they're wearing 221 for Valcar. If you're with us on GCN in the winter for the cyclocross, you'll know Alice Arzoufi, great road rider. I think she was in the breakaway last year with Marianne Vos when Vos took her stage victory.
Bigler coming up all together as a team, riding really well together, the Bigler team. I was always really impressed with how they stuck to a game plan and rode really solidly as a unit.
And Movistar as well. Aude Bionic has just, again, bringing her leader through towards the front. With Maya-Len and I were talking a little bit about it over the last couple of days in terms of Ida Marino, the climber. You know, she doesn't get that many opportunities to race in the high mountains, but her team are doing a phenomenal job of just keeping her in the right position to keep her within striking distance of potentially taking the race overall.
Yeah, exactly. They are trying to keep their powder dry, keep her safe, let her do as little work as possible so that she can shine on those mountain days. So potentially tomorrow could be a day for her.
Here we go. We're looking for the Flamme Rouge across the road. The final kilometre of today's stage. This breakaway group have done a phenomenal job to stay clear. 1 kilometre to go. Your winner is going to come from Letizia Borghese of Viano, the Aroma Italia Viano team. Chiara Perini from B Pink, or Nadia Qualiotto here from Ale Cipollini. Qualiotto just sits up, just zips up her jersey as well, leading out. And again, the 2 riders here, she just starts to tighten her shoes as well. Sometimes that can almost be a psychological thing now, can't it?
Yeah, it was something I used to do actually. Tighten my shoes. They could become a little bit loose throughout the race. Tighten them up to get as much power through the pedals for that sprint finish. So this is really cool to see. They're actually still going through, and I wonder who is going to lead it out. Who is going to get itchy feet first and go for it.
You're riding now. You're on instinct. Qualiotto throws the anchor out there to go to the back of the group. Borghese gets forced through to the front. She had done a great job to try and get herself into the position that she wanted, which was 3rd in line. Perini looking across at Qualiotto here. As he said, she's a former European junior champion. Qualiotto, the most experienced rider out of this group.
This could be a track sprint now. They're almost coming to a standstill. So it's really important who gets this jump first, to time it to perfection.
A very slight run up towards the line as well. Qualiotto just has a look across. Borghese and Perini, can they outwit the Ale Cipollini rider? As again she puts the brake on. You can see she's almost like throwing the parachute out of the back here every time to go backwards. Now we go, 300 to go. Qualiotto is on the front. She's going to hug the barriers here. Borghese and Perini. Qualiotto now starts to line up for the sprint. Borghese is into the slipstream. Perini on the back. Qualiotto now gets a bit of a gap now. She's got just a couple of metres advantage. 100 metres to go up towards the line. Qualiotto leading out. Borghese battling to try and get up to her. Qualiotto on the front. Throws the bike at the line. Qualiotto is celebrating. Let's have a look at the photo. Right on the line. Oof, that is so close. Qualiotto celebrating. Borghese close. And there you have it. 2 days. And the winner, or the rider celebrates and it gets stolen on the line.
Oh, you would have thought she would have watched yesterday's finish where Lucy Kennedy just got pipped to the line by Marianne Vos by celebrating too early, and that will be heartbreak for the Ale Cipollini rider who has celebrated just too early. And you can see Marianne Vos coming up to the line here, just proving the fine form she's in to take fourth in the bunch sprint.
She just comes in there. Looked like Leah Kirschman just behind her for Team Sunweb. There we go. We got to send the coaching manual out again, haven't we? So sprint through the line, sprint through the line. It was absolute. Look at this. So Borghese, you saw Qualiotto felt that she had it. Borghese dives up the inside. She's celebrating Qualiotto. She thinks she's got it. Borghese comes through, and you saw there in the photo finish celebrating. And there's Marianne Vos coming across the line to take fourth place. Is Leah Cashman just behind her? So what a finish.
That was amazing. So close. Again, celebrating just too early. These riders, they're going to have to learn to stop celebrating before the line. But what a day for the young Italians riders today.
But that again, you know, you look at that 20 years old Letizia Borghese, as we said, we couldn't find an awful lot on her, and you just see again Michele Scarponi. You see the fan club there, rider that we lost after the Tour of the Alps couple of years ago. But what a victory. Aroma Italia Viano. They're gonna dine out on that one for years, aren't they?
They will, and it will give so much motivation for the team. You know, if a rider like that can do it, anyone can do it. And what an opportunity she's taken today. They've ridden well in the break, and she's finished it off for her team, so they will be going to bed happy riders today.
There's confirmation of your top 10. So Letizia Borghese takes it from Nadia Qualiotto, Chiara Parini, it's Marianne Vos and Leah Kirschen with Paladin Van Vleuten and Sanguinetti up there. This is our general classification going into the mountaintop finish tomorrow. So Cassia Nuviadoma still leads Cecily Uttrup Ludwig by 20 seconds. Marianne Vos is still at 25.
All the time something was happening, and then this breakaway went away. It was actually a perfect situation for us, because then we knew that the final will be less stressful and nervous or hectic. I was kind of surprised when I saw that they almost had like 5 minutes, so we started to chase, and my team was great. They just immediately lined up in the front and did an amazing job. And yeah.
What about tomorrow?
Yeah, it's gonna be a very challenging stage. Yeah, well, I'm enjoying this moment for now, because I'm done with the race, the stage. But yeah, definitely tomorrow is one of the hardest, one of the most brutal stages in the Giro.
On to the podium, the biggest victory of her career. Letizia Borghese takes a phenomenal victory for Aroma Italia. Viano takes that ahead of Nadia Qualiotto. You would say stole the stage again, right on the line. That bike throw again, so important, and celebrations all around. And again, young rider on the podium.
Clearly enjoying that champagne. What a day for her. So well deserved. Really happy to see such a young rider take the victory today. And great for Italy, like we said, you know, for the race, for the country, to have an Italian victory.
Cassia Nuviadoma still in the Maglia Rosa going into tomorrow's stage. You will expect a big challenge to try and wrestle that jersey off her shoulders. Marianne Vos extends a lead in the Cyclamin points jersey after her 4th place finish today, to add to 2 stage victories so far. Julia Labouche from Team Sunweb still wearing the white jersey as the best young rider. And she manages to get that jersey back in her own right. Sophie de Voist from Park Hotel of Valkenburg adds 2 points to her total on the Cat 3 climb. She will wear that jersey going into stage 5. Elisa Longo Borghini, still the best placed Italian rider overall for Trek Segafredo. Can she swap that jersey for the Maglia Rosa tomorrow? Again! 2 days and it gets stolen on the line. I'm seeing a pattern emerging here.
I know, so close. I don't know when the riders are going to learn to sprint straight through the line. What heartbreak for the Ali Cipollini rider. She thought she had it, but yeah, so close.
For Borghese, though, 20 years old, we were struggling to find out any information about her when we saw that she was in the breakaway. But for her, that now gives her that stepping stone, doesn't it? Winning a stage of the Giro Rosa to go up potentially to a much bigger team.
Yeah, totally. You know, she's taken her opportunity today. They rode really well together and she's got a victory in the Giro at age 20. So, yeah, I'm sure it's only the start of things to come for an incredible rider.
Tomorrow, we did have the Gavia. If you haven't seen the news, they had to take the Gavia pass out, which we were looking to try and finish at the top of, which is a shame for a lot of riders because they had taken the time to actually recce it. It was that important. So, but tomorrow, it's still a climb, isn't it? And Emma Pooley was the last winner up there in 2011. So that kind of gives you an idea of what the climb is going to be like. What are your expectations for tomorrow?
Yeah, if Emma Pooley won that stage, that means it's going to be savage still. So I'm really excited about tomorrow. I think we'll see some big time gaps and it'll be a chance for those GC riders to really show what fine form they're in. So I think we'll see some big time gaps emerging and the real start of the Giro Rosa.
Well, we hope you're enjoying our coverage here on GCN Racing. Don't forget, spread the word. Let everyone know that we're here. Danny and myself will be back tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye for now.